We were talking about the knowledge that saves, which is so important to men because all men would like to be saved. We also spoke about the fact that all religions offer a formula on how to be saved, and it is dependent on how attractive these religions are that man try to join what pleases him. We also confess the fact that we are ignorant on how other religions give the formula on how to save the souls of their members. We are totally ignorant too of how the Christian sect present the formula on how one can save his souls. We are only familiar with the Catholic Church, the formula in the Catholic Church of what a person must do to attain salvation. And while we do not know whether other religions or other Christian sects are attaining their goal, we know very well if the Catholics are attaining their goal. Joseph Cardinal Ratzinger, the head of the Holy Office, the office in Rome that precisely makes statements whether what we're doing are right or wrong, whether we are in the right direction, or what is the problem that is besetting the church, has already proclaimed that the Catholic Church is in crisis. That is in effect saying that we either do not know how to attain the knowledge that saves, or that we are not reaching it at all. If one goes over his analysis of the crisis in the church, it could even go back as far as the fact that we don't reason correctly. Now let us briefly review what are the steps one should take to attain eternal life using the very words of Christ. Christ says, "This is eternal life, to know Him and Jesus Christ whom He had sent." So we have 3 steps here. That first we should know and reason correctly, because if we reason wrongly, we will never reach the true concept of one God. If we reason correctly, we shall know God, and then when we reach that point of knowing God, we shall see that He is so good and therefore can be trusted. And then God says that He became man, and therefore we believe Him blindly because we have trusted His previous statement. We have trusted Him, so we believe that He became man. Then we study what He said, what He taught us as man. And when we obey what this man God had said, then we become deserving to possess the knowledge that saves. The first step is so important because the moment you make a mistake, with the first step, which is to reason rightly, everything goes wrong. The Aztecs of Mexico, for instance, reasoned wrongly, and so they reached to the concept that God was a snake of stone, made of stone. The Egyptians reached the concept of God, and they thought that God was a crocodile. Now, the moment the first is mistaken, the concept is mistaken, and all the rest are wrong. And so with the Aztecs, they began to teach that this stone snake wants human sacrifices. So that the Aztecs had to go to war continuously, capturing little nations or tribes around them to simply satisfy the demand for human sacrifice. Of course, it was not the snake god who told them to do so because he was just made of stone. It was the priests of the Aztec religion who made this demand for human sacrifices. If the priests of the Aztecs and the priests of the Egyptians could make a mistake, our priests, the priests of the Catholic Church, could also make similar mistakes if they don't reason properly. After all, who are the founders of the biggest heresies in the Catholic Church? Priests and bishops. In the year 700, Ireland, for instance, was filled with apostate bishops. The more popular one is the Bishop of Down in Ireland. In the 1500s, we have Martin Luther and Zwingli, Catholic priests who went wrong. And during the French Revolution, there was what you call the butcher, a man called the butcher because he had killed so many bishops, priests, nuns, and other Christians. And he was a Catholic seminarian. And so you see, the moment you reason wrongly, everything can go wrong. It was precisely because of this that Christ knew very well that one day his church would be in such a big mess that God decided to become man and come down to show us, first, how to reason properly, the image of the true God, then the Son, which is God made man, and the signs that we have truly attained the knowledge that saves. In short, if you ask me, what is the sign that we have attained this knowledge? The sign is excellence of life and excellence of teachings. You know, today so many people, even Catholic priests and other preachers, pretend that they have the knowledge that saves. But if you look at them, there is no excellence, either in doctrine or teachings, and no excellence whatever in their way of life. Excellence in doctrine is this, that what they are teaching is over and above the things of human nature. And excellence in life, St. Augustine says, is the fact that these people live lives that are over and above the natural way of life. He calls it angelic life. In other words, these are people who live lives as if there were no passions or vices or emotions or feelings. Oh, they had emotions and feelings, but they were completely under control. So this is Christ showing us how to reason the image of the true God, the image of the true God who has become man. And if you obey his way of life, his teachings, you would have life eternal. Now, what is nice in the Catholic Church is that after Christ, there were disciples and apostles, and the pupils of the apostles, and the pupils of the pupils of the apostles who followed the example of Christ, and they themselves reasoned correctly, reached the concept of a true God and the concept of a true God-made man, and all of them are saints, meaning to say they have eternal life, attained the happiness of heaven. But what is more beautiful about this is these people who live after the apostles and call themselves the fathers of the church, the term used by the church, had even the luxury of writing it down, writing down how to reason properly up to the last stage. They even describe what is the signs that you have life everlasting or life eternal. Of course, the fathers of the church live only up to the 7th century or 6th century. And so all through the history of man, God provided doctors of the church. One of the most renowned is St. Thomas of Aquinas, who in his work placed the rules of right reasoning or logic on one side and put the teachings of Christ on the other side, showing that precisely the teachings of Christ are the most reasonable teachings in the whole world. We Catholics, therefore, should rejoice and be grateful that we are not seeking God with blind eyes. Not only do we have guides or light to show us the way, we have guidelines on the side to prevent us from going wrong. In fact, if you know the teachings of Christ and the writings of the Fathers, just a little deviation from the right way and you would know it. This, therefore, is the purpose of this program, to share with you, little by little in the form of vignettes, the teachings of Christ, the teachings of the Fathers of the Church on how to reason well, the image of the true God, the image of the true God-made man, and the signs that you have reached the knowledge that saves. May the divine assistance always be with you.